Hey, it's Steven, your friendly neighborhood anesthesiologist, clinical medical ethicist, Navy veteran. I am picking up where I left off, talking about a career in Navy medicine, being an anesthesiologist in the Navy. I have a couple other videos about parts of my process, going through officer development school and taking advantage of the financial assistance program. I also have a couple of podcast episodes. I do host the Black Doctors podcast, and I have a couple of podcast episodes where I talk about my experiences in the Navy. As a lot of you may know, I recently separated, so I had a 4-year commitment. That 4 years is up, and I am back in civilian land. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about my experiences in the Navy and answering some of the questions that you had. Of note, like, these videos aren't really going to be super edited. I just don't have time really to do a lot of editing. So it's going to be kind of one take, and then we'll see how it goes. Just making sure that the audio is still going, and it looks like it is. Good. So one of the questions that's come up a lot is dress code and uniforms. So I'll talk about that today. I joined the Navy. I attended officer development school after coming on active duty. So a lot of folks that take the health profession scholarship program, if you're in medical school or dental school, after that first year, you are going to go to officer development school, like after your first year of medical school. So you'll have your uniforms, you'll learn how to be a Navy officer or Army officer, whatever the case is. And then you'll go back, finish your graduate program. Some of you may then enter the service after graduating from medical school for a military residency. Some of you may go on into civilian residency programs. If you go into the military, cool, everything is fresh, your training's fresh, not that you really need a whole lot of that training. But if you go into civilian land, you know, your residency is 3 years or 5 years or whatever the case is, and now you're pretty rusty and you have these uniforms from like 6 or 7 years ago that probably don't fit. You probably don't remember how to wear them, but it's fine because for the most part, by and large, the uniforms isn't a really big deal when it comes to being a military physician. For me, and I will always put a caveat in there that I was a physician in the military, not a military physician, because for me, when it came to working and treating my patients, that's what came first. Me being a physician, I really prioritized my patients and didn't get kind of caught up in the military hoopla. That said, when you join the military at officer development school, you're going to buy a lot of your uniforms. Since I went in through the financial assistance program, I did not have any uniforms. I actually showed up to my duty station. I finished residency, put on a decent suit because I figured, you know, this is a job. So I looked kind of business professional, and that's what I showed up to work in. And I got a couple funny looks, but nobody like yelled at me or anything. Because the important thing is you're coming on, you're going to be an officer, you're going to be like at least a lieutenant, if not a lieutenant commander, or what in the other branches is what captain is 03, and then major is 04. People aren't really going to yell at you. If you're with the Marines, they may try and throw their weight around. They're really sticklers for dress code, but remember, you are a physician or dentist, and the skills and talent that you are bringing to the military is kind of levels above that. Personally, I would much rather have a crappy military officer that's an excellent clinician than vice versa. So for me, again, I landed at my military hospital. I wore civilian clothes for the first couple months. I took my boards, and then I went to officer development school. Fortunately, one of the biggest hacks to know, there are military thrift stores available at a lot of these cities that have big military bases. So one of the CRNAs at work kind of put me onto this and was like, yo, just go here. You can get all the clothes that you need for cheap and super cheap. So you go to the military thrift store, there's usually some really weird hours, but you're talking about uniforms for $20 for a pair of pants, $20 for a shirt or whatever. As opposed to buying everything brand new. I really don't remember the price, but they were $30 to $60 an item. You do get a $400 uniform stipend, but it doesn't even cover half of your uniforms, because the military has different uniforms for the summer and the winter, and then the different types of dress, and then your fatigues or your working uniforms. So you're going to end up buying 4 to 6 different uniforms. I know for us, we had a service dress blues, which is a navy blue uniform, and you can have the basic model, or you can have the Brooks Brothers model. And you're young and you're just hyped up because you're about to join the military, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll just buy the nicest like service dress blues. I'm gonna get the Brooks Brothers suit, and that alone was probably like $800 or something. So good thing is, find that military thrift store. You'll probably need somebody to help you, kind of show you which uniforms are which, and make sure you're buying the right stuff. I know, like, I almost bought some of the enlisted uniforms, and that wouldn't have been cool. So you'll probably need somebody to kind of help you come in and show you the ropes. All right, sorry, just pause to make sure I was still recording the audio. So military thrift store is your friend. You can get all the uniforms for cheap. Once you're at officer development school, whatever, they're going to tell you, especially depending on what time of year you go in. If you're in the summer, then you're for sure got to buy like the summer dress uniform. You got to buy like the working uniform. And then, I don't know, for us, it was like the khakis, which was like our, all season uniform, I guess. And then there was the summer whites. We did buy our dress whites, which is like the choker. It's a really good looking uniform. And then the type 3s, which is the camouflage uniform. So we had to buy all of those. I don't think I bought the type 3s at that time. Basically, at officer development school, you had to like all wear the same thing. So if everybody bought one thing, then you all had to buy it. Which is how I ended up with this stupid like $200 trench coat that I literally only wore one time at officer development school. I don't even really know what happened to it. So that brings me to my biggest point is you may not have to buy all the uniforms. They really like pushed you to buy them. We had a uniform inspection in the khaki uniform, and that was the only uniform inspection that we had. We did wear at officer development school. We wore the khakis pretty much every day. So I had like 2 or 3 pairs of those. And then I don't think we wore the type 3s at all, the camouflage uniform. And we wore the summer whites around time of graduation. And then we wore the choker whites for our graduation ceremony. And that's typically what you'll wear, I think, for graduation. So the one uniform you didn't hear me mention was these service dress blues. That's the navy blue uniform that you see all naval officers wear. So I didn't buy the naval that service dress blue uniform. I didn't need to buy it in officer development school. And then when you leave to your various duty stations, you'll kind of see, what do I need to wear every day? So I was in the operating rooms as I'm an anesthesiologist. So I would get up every morning, throw on some civilian clothes. I still always kind of dressed up because that's just what I was used to from my residency program, which I mean, like, by dress up, I mean like jeans or khakis, like chinos, and a t-shirt or a button-down shirt. Some of my partners would wear like shorts and flip-flops and all that stuff. And it depends on the duty station. This was in Virginia. But we would walk into the hospital, change into scrubs, and then go to the operating room. So it was super chill, super laid back. Some duty stations won't, I think some of the Air Force anesthesiologists that I worked with, they still had to wear their camouflage uniform or a uniform into the hospital and then change into their scrubs for the day. So it just depends on your duty station. If you're like an internist, then maybe, you might try and round in scrubs, or you may end up rounding in like the khaki uniform or the camouflage, because that's kind of like your working uniform. So for me personally, I wore the khaki uniform after officer development school like maybe 4 or 5 times. I wore it once to a meeting with the commanding officer. That might have been it. I just realized I think I left it hanging in the office. I hung it up in the office and it stayed there for the entire 4 years. I think I wore it 3, maybe 4 times. I never bought the service dress blues. You won't find a picture of me wearing service dress blues because I never bought it. We didn't have any dress codes or dress inspections. So I never really had a reason. Big truck driving by outside. I never really had a reason. Okay. Sorry about that. I never really had a reason to put on the service dress blue uniform. I never had to buy it. Now, I did hope and pray that I never got in trouble, because then I would have had to go to Kappa's Mass or whatever, and I would have had to put on or find a service dress blue uniform somewhere in short notice. But that was me. So that's the dress code. It just depends on what your specialty is, what the requirements are at your command, how many ceremonies do you plan on going to, and all the above. What pictures do you want to take, what uniforms do you want to wear, how long are you going to be on active duty. So yeah, my khaki uniform is still left at the hospital, I think with the same like 2 ribbons that I had on it. Other things, facial hair and hair. So there is like a super strict dress code or policy on hair. There's a picture, if I can Google it, I might try and put it in this video, but that sounds like some extra work, so we'll see about that. There's a picture you can pull up and it has like all the parameters of how you're supposed to wear your hair on active duty. It's a lot. It's supposed to be like tapered and 3/4 of an inch, whatever. They recently have relaxed some of the policies to where like females can wear, or women can wear locks. They can lock their hair. They can wear it down. They don't have to always wear a bun, but it's a little restrictive. That's why you'll see like most all the dudes have like, especially if you're black, you have like a fade, whatever. I always wanted to grow my hair back out. I had locks before I went into the Navy. So literally a year from the time I was supposed to separate, I got my last haircut and I grew my hair out. So, I was able to like literally leave the service and lock my hair. Something that's important to me. Facial hair, yeah, you got to shave. You can get a shaved chit, depending on your command. People may look at you funny, but whatever. People always have something to say. I had a shaved chit for when I was deployed because I just really didn't want to shave every day and my face would break out. I still typically kept my facial hair trimmed like every 1 to 2 weeks. And then COVID hit. So then we were wearing masks all the time. I pretty much always kept my soul patch, even before COVID, but especially after COVID, just wore a mask and keep it pushing. So yeah, that is my summary advice on uniforms. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I'll probably make a couple of these. It's not really edited. This is just off the cuff and live, but let me know if you find this helpful. If you want to support me, I guess check out the podcast episodes that I have on my time in the military, and then check out the Black Doctors podcast, one of my other passion projects. So thanks for listening. I'm here to answer whatever questions you have about being a physician in the military.